You got challenges that you're going to run across.
I'm leaving you. I said, but the good news is I'm not leaving you. I'm going to stay. You're just going to change my employment into a subcontract with my current company and still pay for all of my insurances. And I'm still going to stay here and work with you and help you get everything done. But it's just going to be a change in the relationship so that I could have control of my time.
Wow.
When I did say that now, it sounds kind of ballsy, but
it
it didn't seem like that to me. It was more like, oh, this is what I got to do, so I'm going to go ahead but yeah, that's what it was.
So was that a male or a female you were talking to?
Male.
Okay, and what did he say?
He said, he paused, he sat back, and I could tell that he felt that it was coming. Like, it wasn't really a surprise to him. He just kind of felt it was coming. And he said, okay. And at that point, we were going to do some things together. We were going to partner on some things that didn't come through, but we just continued to be friends and be colleagues or whatever. Unfortunately, he passed away many years ago now. But yeah, that's how BMA was kind of birthed. And I used the 500. BMA was birthed mostly on my resume. And I just used the $500 for the basic setup things you had to do back then, establishing the corporation, doing the website, doing all of those things that you had to get done. I think put my website on GoDaddy. That's how it started.
So not just your resume, it was built on your actions too, because for you to say what you said to him, you had to feel comfortable that he didn't want to lose you. But my question would be, were you prepared if he said, I don't want to go that route?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but when you walk into your boss's office and make that kind of statement, that kind of offer, you have to be prepared either way. Either it's going to go yay, like it did, or he could say, okay, well, you're fired. See you. And I just knew that I had enough understanding and expertise that I would be able to find something else if he decided, nope, I would find another job if I wanted another job, or I would just push forward in my entrepreneurial efforts.
So your corporate job kicked off your business?
Yes and no. My corporate job gave me the push I needed. And I'll tell you a kind of funny story. And I still love the wife, still love her. And she has no accent, but whenever I tell this story, I give her an accent because I don't know why. But I just remember I was sitting in the office and I was working on a proposal. And back then you really didn't, that whole virtual concept wasn't a thing, right? So I'm sitting in office, I'm working on a proposal. It's like 7:00 at night. I know that I'm going to be working on that proposal until maybe 2 or so in the morning. And I'm just working. And she comes in and her, fur and whatever. And she goes to him and she's like, darling, we must go, darling. It's time for dinner, darling. It's 7:00, darling. They're waiting for us in the restaurant, darling. We must go. Of course, she didn't have any accent. It's a Black woman. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, 7:00, restaurant. I'm like, dang, nobody even got me a pizza. Like, I'm sitting here working and I wasn't offered dinner or a pizza or whatever. It was just like, you do what you're going to do. And it was kind of at that time that I said, and why am I writing all these proposals to win him millions? If I can write a proposal to win some millions, I can write a proposal to win myself something, right?
Right.
So let's do that. And that's when I started that preparation and started getting it together and pushing forward.
So would you say it was about the money or about freedom?
Oh, freedom. Absolutely. Freedom, creativity. I think when you are an entrepreneur or a creative person, you're always seeing improvement. And so even in working there, I was like, oh, we could do that better. Oh, we need to do this better. Oh, we need to move this over here, but just didn't have that level of support within the organization to move any of my ideas forward. And so but you're always in the background. You're always writing like we should have been doing it this way. If we had done this, then that client wouldn't have been upset or whatever. And I think that is just part of the creative mind. You're always looking for those opportunities to improve.
So were you that itpreneur in high school and college? Like when I grew up, I always talk about how, a lot of people I know that have become entrepreneurs, started early. I go back to my 5th grade. I was throwing papers with a guy named Erskine down the street. I remember he used to throw papers out the back of his truck, and I asked him one day, could I ride back there with him and throw papers? This is in the 5th grade or 6th grade, so I did that. Then I had a lawnmower. I was cutting grass through the neighborhood. I did that, and then 10th grade, I went out to a restaurant and got me a job bussing tables and washing dishes. And I mean, all through college I was working. I always did something. Were you that person too?
I wouldn't say I started in the 5th grade because I was a dancer. So dance was like my focus until my knees were like, girl, you need to find something else to do. So I did. And realizing that my brain may have taken me farther than my knees were going to. And so I was working mostly definitely in high school. I started working, I think I had my first job when I was 13. I'll never forget, Friendly's Ice Cream Parlor. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but I was the counter girl because I was always nice to all of the folks that were eating at the counter. So they always tipped well. And then from there, I got a job as a receptionist. So in high school, I was definitely working for someone else. In college is when I really started having 4 or 5 jobs because I put myself through college. I emancipated at 17, which means I was legally an adult. So I legally emancipated, and my mom and my stepfather didn't have they couldn't put me on their taxes. They basically were not taking care of me. So anything beginning at age 17, I was on my own. So if I wanted to eat, well, I better figure out how I was going to do that, right? And pay for college and. So I just started, I had like 4 jobs. I had, I think my first kind of, I wouldn't say, well, I guess it's kind of entrepreneurial when I look at it from back then. This is going to be dating me, but in the library at Virginia Tech, IBM had started coming out with some of the first PCs, right? These big giant console, the boxes, and I was the lead salesperson. I was 1099 lead salesperson, and my job was to galvanize a team to go out and sell these PCs across the campus. That was one of my jobs. And so that's what I did. And so that was, like I said, you don't really think when you're doing this stuff on the side. I didn't really think that I was a gigpreneur or what they would call an entrepreneur today. It was just, okay, sure, I can do that. I'll try that. And that's probably my first real gig.
Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the all button and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to have a lot of good interviews on this podcast.